The Adventure Begins. By Clark Nicholas Morin.
Raven was running out of things to say. She had been complaining for a while now, and she didn't like to repeat herself. How much farther? Lynn made an abrupt stop, which startled Raven. Then she noticed that the trees were gone. They must have left the forest. Next, she noticed a farm on their left. It looked kind of cozy at first. But that feeling quickly vanished as she noticed the hole in the barn. The field, which should have been ready to harvest soon, had 5 or so wide paths cut through it, beginning at the barn and ending at the forest. The exact number of paths was impossible to tell, because they kept weaving in and out of each other in a chaotic web. Aside from the paths, the field was also covered with just about every random item you could expect a farm to have, and a few bodies. About 24 people were out in the field, picking up the junk that was spread around. Lynn stood in silence for a moment, taking in the scene. "I think we're here." The two friends stood there, the sight of the damage burning into their minds. Were they late? If they got here sooner, could they have helped, or would it have happened anyway? Something in the field caught Raven's eye. It was far away, which made it hard to tell what it was. But she noticed dark fur and white teeth. She continued to look at the creature while signaling Lynn. "Your eyes are better than mine. Look over there. What is that?" Lynn didn't need to turn to see it, but Raven saw his eyes move. "I think it's a dog." It was closer now than before, and looking right at them. "No, it's more like a wolf, and I think it's stalking us." True to his remark, it was getting closer, and moving with a noticeable speed. Raven could see it clearer now. It was definitely a wolf, a very big one judging by the way its head was just above the wheat, which concealed its body. Raven instinctively began reaching for her swords, ready for an attack, but before she got her hands over her hip, Lynn put his hand out to stop her. "Look at the head. It's no bigger than a regular wolf, but whatever this is, it's taller than a regular wolf could be." Raven evaluated the wolf. Lynn was right. The size of the wolf's head didn't match its height. "You're right. What do you think it is, then?" Lynn smiled, the kind of smile you make when you're about to tell a joke. "I think it's an unfortunate worgen." As soon as Lynn finished his words, the wolf made it out of the field, and sure enough, it was a worgen, and unfortunate indeed. Like most worgen, he had the same general proportions of a man, but with a mouth that extended outwards like a muzzle, and 2 pointed dog-like ears that came out from the top of his head. But this one was different. All worgen have startlingly canine features, but this one was the perfect image of a wolf. Because of this, he naturally had a menacing appearance, and looked like he was constantly glaring. Once he got out of the field, he began running towards Raven and Lynn. There was a good distance between them, so it took a few minutes. Raven and Lynn waited patiently. When he reached them, he was out of breath, and had to bend over to rest a little. His pants were dirty and ragged, which matched his thick, muddy boots as well. He was shirtless, except for a light jacket that blended with his brown fur. But Raven first noticed a white cloth wrapped around his neck, which was clean except for a large stain of blood in the back. Still hunched over and breathing heavily, he began to speak. "Are you the warriors we sent for?" He was looking at Lynn when he said this, but quickly noticed Raven soon after. "Who's this? We only sent for one." Lynn responded in the calm tone he liked to use. "She's a friend I met on the way. She wanted to join me, and I allowed it." The worgen had regained his strength, and was now able to stand up and speak normally. "We can't pay you any more. You know that, right?" "I know. We agreed to split the pay." Raven took a little longer than Lynn to get over the shock. "What happened?" The worgen now directed his attention to her, but looked a little puzzled. He looked back at Lynn. "You didn't tell her what you were being paid for?" Before Lynn could respond, he turned his attention back to Raven. "Goblins. They attacked last night." Raven was still looking over the damage, trying to assess how dangerous these goblins were. "How many died?" The worgen's expression changed, but not in the way Raven expected. He gave a big, proud smile. "About 6 or 7. It was a big fight. I just got away with a scratch, but some of the other guys... Yeesh." He spoke like he was bragging. Raven was taken back. "Why are you so happy about losing so many farm hands?" The Worgen shot back a bewildered expression, but Lynn was quick to jump in before he spoke. I think she meant people. How many people did the goblins kill? The Worgen's confused expression quickly gave way to one of understanding. Oh, okay, that would make sense. He turned back to Raven. No one died. Some of us are injured, though. It may be a while before they can work. But I don't think we'll need them with what we got left. I'm Tyron, by the way. Lynn's expression turned serious. Where is their camp? I'd like to get this over with soon. Tyron looked back at Lynn, but his attention was on both of them. It's in the forest, that direction. He turned around to point in the direction where the path through the field led. Raven wanted to find a way to show her new employer that she was serious. Sadly, whenever she did that, it usually comes out as sass. Yeah, we figured that part out. Tyron ignored her. We don't know exactly where it is. We've never been able to find it, but we don't think it's very far in. Lynn, who had been listening quietly and intently, now decided to give some input. Goblins are clumsy, and I have training in tracking. We should be able to find them. He spoke with confidence, sure of his skill. Raven didn't doubt his tracking skills. She'd seen them in action, but she still wasn't as confident as Lynn. How many are there? Tyron shrugged. I don't know. Probably about 30 or so. They usually attack in groups of 20, and they probably leave some at their camp, but I don't think there's much more. Okay, about 20 to 30. That should be good. This was reassuring. Raven was trained to kill quickly and silently, but that gave her a disadvantage when fighting large groups. She was worried there would be too many to handle, but those odds were good. She noticed Lynn fidgeting with the handle of his knife he kept on his waist, which meant he was getting anxious. He must have meant it when he said he wanted to get this over with quickly. We should go. He turned to his left, and Raven's eyes followed. Above the trees, the sun was beginning to set. The familiar red glow of the last few hours of day shone over the top of the tree line. I'd like to finish this tonight.
The Adventure Begins. Written by Clark Nicholas Morin. Published by 5 Main Loons Family Publishing. Find it on Amazon for $6.58. Or at 5 Main Loons on Etsy.